Good evening, Democrats. As hard as it is to believe, today is the 6th day of November 2023. That means we're 1 year out from re-electing President Biden and Vice President Harris, along with a lot of candidates. We'll be talking a bit about that tonight, as well as the crazy Speaker of the House. And we have a very special guest tonight to talk about Veterans Day and the Oklahoma Veterans Federation. All that and more on tonight's Hamilton Report. Dorothy, I'm glad that you're with us this evening, as well as everyone else who is joining us. I say this frequently, but it's so true. This is my favorite half hour of the week to get to spend some time with you good folks. And I really do appreciate you tuning in. It means a lot because it means more people are getting the benefit of the party's message. And that's what it's about. We've got to just keep talking about all the good things that we're doing as Democrats in Oklahoma and certainly in the nation. We have literally a record number of people who have already committed to running for office in Oklahoma. This is very exciting because we've got some great candidates for municipal positions, for the state legislature, state positions, as well as Congress. So it's already shaping up to be an exciting year. And just bringing it to your attention that we are now 1 year out. So that means we've all got a lot of work to be doing. And I want to share something with you from our friends at the Lincoln Project, because they're saying that something is happening. And I'll let you take a look at this and decide for yourself.
Something is happening in American politics. For decades, Republicans called themselves the party of strength in foreign policy. Today, the Republican Party attacks our military.
Some of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life.
And cozies up to our enemies.
Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart.
Republican senators are blocking key military appointments, making America less safe.
This sweeping hold is undermining America's military readiness.
Republicans are helping Vladimir Putin by calling for the end of military aid to the brave Ukrainians.
Under Republican, not another penny will go to Ukraine.
Today, President Joe Biden is the voice of a strong America.
Let there be no doubt, the United States has Israel's back.
This is an American president.
We cannot and will not let terrorists like Hamas, tyrants like Putin win.
President Joe Biden, America's president.
I don't know why President Biden is so reticent to really toot his own horn, because the man has done incredible work for the people of this country and just focuses on the job at hand, not a bunch of nonsense like we're seeing from the other side. But speaking of nonsense, I've got to at least mention the fact that the Speaker of the House, MAGA Mike, there's just so much shady about this man. Last year, he made over $200,000 and says he has no bank account, no checking or savings account. Calls himself a man of modest means. Well, when you live in a house like he lives in and you rake in over $200,000 a year, that's not exactly a modest salary. That's several times higher than the average Oklahoman makes. And he has no bank account. Now, you and I both know that he doesn't get a paper check and run around the corner to the check cashing joint to cash his payroll check every 2 weeks. So something is up with him, and I think we're going to be finding out a whole lot more and in very, very good time. The reason I'm excited about this is because nobody knew who this was before he was elected Speaker of the House. Literally, people in the House said, I've never said one word to him. We've never spoken. I don't know anything about him. And yet that is who is 2 heartbeats away from being our president. Okay, enough of that. I want to share one more thing with you before I introduce our guest tonight. This year, the delegates at our state convention decided that they were tired of the rooster that always appears on our ballots and instead declared that we are going with the donkey. The problem is we need a good donkey. And so we have opened up a competition for any public school student. This can be middle school, junior high, high school, just a drawing of a donkey that then, once selected, will be on our ballot for every single election. I think it's an exciting time. And the winner of this contest will come to the Capitol, where he or she will receive a commendation from the party, and we'll make it a very special occasion for them because they're doing something great for us. So you can have, you can just send it directly to me. My email address is scott@okdemocrats.org. And we have extended the deadline to Friday evening at 5:00. So get pens and markers and paints, whatever your young folks or your neighbors or your grandkids like to use. And let's get a picture of a donkey that we're all happy with and have them send it to me by 5:00 this Friday. Well, it's my pleasure tonight. We talk a lot about groups within the Oklahoma Democratic Party. And one group that doesn't get as much recognition as I know that they should, because of all of the just tremendous work that they do in sourcing candidates and vetting them to learn about their feelings on veterans, what they plan on doing, or if they're in office, what they have done to help veterans here in Oklahoma. It's my privilege to welcome to the Hamilton Report tonight the president of the Oklahoma Democratic Party Veterans Federation, Rita Maxwell. Ms. Rita, good evening to you.
Hi, Scott.
I'm so glad that you could join us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well,
I've not done one of these before.
We'll add this to your resume.
Okay.
And speaking of your resume, we'll come back to this, but we should let our viewers know that you are running for office. So in addition to all the work that you do with the Veterans Federation, you have thrown your hat in and you are running for city council in Midwest City. That's an exciting thing.
It's exciting and it's scary, Scott. I never asked for an office or to run for anything. So I'm really nervous and excited at the same time.
Well, we'll come back and talk more about that. But I'd like to focus a bit of time on the Veterans Federation. It is truly one of our strongest federations in the Oklahoma Democratic Party. And I honestly, the Federation has done a great deal of work to make things better in Oklahoma as far as legislation goes. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that you and probably everyone in the Federation is doing. So let's talk a little bit about the Federation.
Well, the Federation has been around for a very long time, and I'm a newly elected officer there, and I have followed the work of the Veteran Federation for a long time because I am a veteran, and so that's a special interest for me. I enjoy being with the Veteran Federation because they do so much. The men and women and family members of veterans all pitch in and work really hard to raise money so that we can help candidates. So I was proud.
Here's a veteran right here. Mark Smith joined in, and he's calling you a real inspiration. So that's a very, very high compliment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about the Federation. It's open to whom?
It's open to veterans. Family of veterans members, and let me start that over. Veterans family members are also welcome to join, and anyone who's interested in our cause, they can join us. Now, voting rights and privileges are limited to veterans and family members, but anyone can join us.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because we do have people who are neither veterans nor family members, direct family members, but they're still they're still members of the Federation. They believe in what you're doing. And in full transparency, I should mention that I am also a member of that Federation.
Yes,
I'm not a veteran myself, but I am married to a veteran. And I'm really concerned that veterans get everything that is due to them. Because for too long, I think we have just treated veterans quite poorly, frankly. I know my cousin who was in Vietnam came home, and while he was still at the airport, had someone spit on him. And this is after serving in Vietnam, and that was a very challenging experience for him in the war. And then when he came home, he was faced with additional challenges from people who hated him just because he had the uniform.
Absolutely.
When you went into the service, what was that about? Because you were not 18, you were not you were not single. As a matter of fact, you already had a family.
I did. I'd always wanted to go into the service, and then life kind of hits you. You know, you have to postpone some things. And my husband brought home the paperwork. I was 29 years old, and he brought home the paperwork and said, "You've always wanted to do this. We're at a position where I can support you in this, in your dream." So I had 4 children, a husband, and everybody was telling me it's never going to happen. They're never going to accept you. And they did. And they did. And that was especially, I was so proud of having the opportunity to get into a uniform and be willing to serve my country. And I had everything I wanted. I had a husband, children, a home. And this was just icing on the cake. So I turned 30 in basic training. And I wasn't the oldest person in basic training, but I was old in basic training. Loved every moment of it, even when I wanted to run away, because it does happen. I slowed myself down and say, "You asked for this. You wanted to do this." And I was so proud of everything I learned and that they took me. So, and the kids, I promised the kids if they would behave and work with their father. And I was also in college.
Oh, my.
And so I took that break, went and did what I had to do. And they sent me to Tinker, 7 minutes from my house. After basic training and tech school, they sent me to Tinker. And I thought they were joking with me, but they sent me to Tinker, and it all worked out. And so I'm very proud to be a veteran. And I hear people saying, you know, when we first started saying, "Thank you for your service," I heard politicians say they don't want to hear that. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because my shoulders go back a little bit, straighten up. And I'm thinking, I was ready.
Yes, yes. And so from me, thank you for your service. And it's a big deal when the chair of the Oklahoma Democratic Party thanks you, and she also happens to be your daughter. So that's a big deal to be recognized.
She was there with me, Scott. She was there with me, helping me. She would read my textbooks to me when I would get overwhelmed and cooking dinner and doing all the things she had to do. All the kids pitched in, but Alicia was she got me through humanities and psychology.
Wow. That's no small thing.
So when I tried to do psychology on her when she was a teenager, she said, "Remember, I was the one who read the books to you."
And that's why she was a psychology major in college. I got you. Now it all makes a lot of sense. Tell me, if you would, what Veterans Day means to you, and that's this Friday.
It's this Friday. You know, we always we always like the parade and all the pomp and circumstances that goes behind it, but it really does mean that people sacrificed. People gave their lives, their limbs, everything else to protect this country. And believe it or not, when you put your hands up and you pledge allegiance, those are the words that you're really saying. I will protect the Constitution. And so you think of all the people who have come before, who have sacrificed, Now, people like me, I was in the service. I was ready. I mean, I had no choice because I had signed up and said I would do it. But there are people who actually went to the war, actually fought for us. And I remember Vietnam. I remember when the husband came home from Vietnam, people were spitting on him, calling them names. I wasn't in the service at that time. I joined shortly thereafter. But so Veterans Day means a lot. My father, a couple of my brothers were in the military. And that meant that they were ready to do the ultimate sacrifice for their country.
Wow, this is good to know. Tulsa has one of the largest Veterans Day parades in the nation. I didn't know that, so thank you for sharing that with us. That's very good to know. And I'm always impressed when one veteran thanks another one. And here, this is Mark Smith, from one veteran to another. Thank you. I mean,
I love you, Scott.
That means something.
And
that means a whole lot.
It really does. It really does, because it's a unique experience. It's an experience that, when I was jumping across that big, I forgot, that big barrier, that wall you're going over in basic training and going through the mud. I never felt bad about that at all. They were preparing me for, if I had to do it, maybe I'd have muscle memory. I don't know, but keep your head down and crawl and don't leave no man left. No man is left on the field. And when I see that movie, what was that movie with Richard Gere, Officer and the Gentleman, when they were doing the obstacle course, he had to learn how to go back and get his fellow man. He had to learn how to cheer them over that obstacle, through that obstacle course. That is just part of being a soldier.
And it's very interesting that you bring that up, because I've noticed on more than one occasion when you and your leadership with the Veterans Federation have said that very thing. No one is left on the field.
No one's.
And so you do make it your business to engage people, to recognize the work that they do. And we've got some really fine folks involved in the Federation. And I should point out that the Veterans Federation was a primary major sponsor of our Road Trip to Victory tour. And we are so grateful for that, because that was an experience that allowed us to talk one-on-one with Democrats that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to talk to. So there's just an awful lot that the Federation does and has done, and we're appreciative of all of that.
Well, you learned lessons, Scott. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, go ahead.
Lessons in basic training. And one of the other reasons I was so proud to go to basic training, I wanted to know, was I disciplined? Was I disciplined? And every great person that I have ran into, one of the things that they pride themselves on is their discipline. If it's a exercise routine, or if it's a eating habits, or whatever, that discipline. And that discipline is, you learn. I learned so many lessons in basic training that helps me throughout the rest of my life. When I went on to corrections, and it's based on the military order, it just fit into everything I learned in basic training. We were thrown together with people that we never knew, and some of them that I've never seen again. But you were a unit, you were a team, and we would go to places, and the other branches. I was in the Air Force. Other branches like the Navy, the Army was there, and we would all tease each other about. But I'd always say, "Well, we always give you a ride to wherever you're going." That's what the Air Force do. We give you a ride, because they would tease us because we sat at the desks more than being out in the field. But when it came down to something serious, like someone is at a club and we know that they're in the Navy and they can't get home, our job was not to leave them there. And that's why I feel with the Federation, we're better in numbers. We're better in numbers. And if we once we come together, we can achieve so much. So much. It's not about one person. It's about the group. It's about the team. So,
Alicia asked this question, and it should have been my very first one to you. How do people join the Democratic Party Veterans Federation?
there are a couple of ways. You can go online. You can go to the thank you for putting that up, to the website and join through ActBlue. You can get one of our envelopes, and you could put your information in that, and it's a very easy process. You could call us up and tell us you want to join and how you want to pay, and we'll make it happen.
And we should point out it's only $10 a year.
It's $10 a year.
And our Veterans Federation does the best pancake breakfast in town. And
I'm so proud.
You should be. That was quite an event. That was a lot of fun and good food and great fellowship. So I propose we start doing those once a month. Is that workable for your plan?
No. The pancake breakfast has been around a very long time, and this year I was I guess in charge of it, and it was a lot of work. It was fun. We did it at the Teamsters Union Hall and 886, and they were so helpful to us. We had the cooks and the volunteers show up, our candidates and officials, and I just had a good time. I got carried away just having a good time, and we'll do it again next year, Scott.
That's how you know that it's a good event. When the host has a good time, everybody has a good time. So well done on that. Now let's shift gears. I want to know what decision process was in place that you said, Rita, I'm going to run for office.
I was having an insane moment. No, I had been, part of our mission is to go out and recruit people to run for office. Mm-hmm. And I was doing my work. I was honest, Scott. I was calling up people and saying, you'd be a good candidate for this. Why don't you run for office? And someone said to me, are you thinking about running? And I went, oh, no, of course not. And I thought, I'm going to ask somebody to do something I'm not going to do. And I put that on the back burner. And then the opportunity came when the council person that I'm going to take her place stepped down. I got a phone call and said, would you consider doing it? And I went, no. So I had to go play in the dirt in my backyard for days. I was digging up, moving stuff, and praying and thinking, Rita, have you lost your mind? And I said, I'm gonna do it. I can't ask somebody to do something I'm not willing to do. And
that's very impressive, because Alicia, in her role as the chair of the party, I don't know how many times I've heard her say, help us find a good candidate. And if you don't know someone that would be a good candidate, then maybe that candidate is you. And that's really what you did. You did some soul searching and said, this is it. I'm going to do this thing.
But I had to, you think about it, because I'm thinking, this more work is more whatever. And I thought, am I willing to do the work? And I thought, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do the work. And I think I've been preparing for that position anyway, just in some of the things I've been doing in my life. And I want to bridge the gap between the people in my ward and City Hall. I need to be able to answer questions. I need to be, and in the process of learning what to do, I can, I'm educating myself too on what services are available here in the city and so forth.
And how big is Ward 3 in Midwest City?
You would ask me that. I don't know.
That's okay.
I know I have the number somewhere.
That's okay. I was just curious. And how can people help support your campaign?
Okay. So you can go to ActBlue.
Okay.
You can call us up. Kind of the same way you join the Veterans Federation. There are so many ways. You can call me up. I'll come pick up the ones. But there are ways. I share this. Everybody is not going to be financial. Okay. But I need people knocking doors, making phone calls for me. The legwork that most people don't think about doing. All of that can help my campaign. It's just not money.
No, I mean, I'm glad that you pointed that out, because we know that when we engage Democratic voters at the door, that our results are considerably better. And you have 12,000. I mean, 12,000 people in who are voters in your ward, and that's a good number. Here is your Act Blue. If you just go to secureactblue.com, Rita Maxwell. We'll put that up again in a moment for everyone to see, because, like you said, that's one way to donate financially. But it is that door knocking. It is the postcard writing. It is the phone calls. And finally, and I'm very happy to say this, but finally people are interested in coming out from behind their computer screens. And for, COVID did a number on everybody.
COVID did a number.
And so it's taken a while for people to say, okay, I'm ready to get back out there. But Democrats are. We know from our recent events that people are anxious to be with other Democrats, that they're anxious to do something and get involved. We had several calls into the office today, people wanting to volunteer, and we will always put a volunteer to work, and we will make it so that it works within your schedule. And I'm sure that the same thing is true of your campaign. If someone can only give you 2 hours a week, I bet you'll take those 2 hours.
I'll take them. And I tell you something, Scott. It has been, and most people don't know this, being involved at the level that I've been in the last year or so. Now, I did a lot of campaigning for, Obama and Kerry, and knocking doors and standing on street corners and getting people registered to vote. That was fun. But this is more fun. You see people and they get you all riled up and pumped up, and you think, we're going to do this. Our numbers are going to increase. We're going to get out there. And the things that you guys are doing, and I'm not saying this just because of Alicia, but it takes a team to do this. You guys with the bus, what's the Victory Bus Tour that was done, that state convention, just everything where people are enjoying being part of the party. And we need to bring others in and let them know that there's a place for you in the party. Come on and let's have some fun, because I'm telling you something. I love my life. What's that? That was a song from Chicago, the musical. I love my life. And this being a part of this, now there's frustration. I'm not going to let anybody think that there's not, but there's more good times and good people than the frustrating part.
That's beautiful to hear. I wanted this, obviously, when you were talking about discipline, it resonated. Wayne says here, I was a member of the Air Force Band of the West, headquartered at MacDill. While my job was not infantry, I did learn and become strongly disciplined in music, and more importantly, committed to the bonds of friendship with my fellow airmen. It was the greatest experience of my life. And I can tell you from personal experience, there's not a week that goes by that Wayne does not speak highly about his experience in the U.S. Air Force. It was really one of the very best times of his life. So this is the beautiful thing. When we communicate and share, it wouldn't have, discipline would not have been the first thing that I thought of when it came to the service. But as soon as you mentioned it, it made all the sense in the world. So before we wind up our time tonight, and our time is getting short.
Oh my God, that was short.
I was teasing Ms. Rita right before the show. She said, "How long is your show?" And I told her it was 3.5 hours. She didn't blink, and I told her that I was kidding, and I really am. We're not keeping everyone here for 3.5 hours tonight. But I just want to mention, I've talked to 3 veterans in the last week, all who are experiencing PTSD, and they're different ages. They were in different branches. But it's something that we need to be aware of, that just because someone finishes their active duty service does not mean that they're done with their military, because those things continue. And I don't know this personally, but from the reports that I get, Oklahoma, the VA hospital here in Oklahoma City is doing really good work in things like suicide prevention, substance abuse treatment, a real strong mental health component. So we encourage any active duty member of the military service or veteran, if you think that service that you need service, or you think it would be helpful at all, please take advantage of it, because it's there for your taking, and it's important because we want people to be happy and healthy after they have served their country so admirably.
Absolutely.
Well, Ms. Rita, this has been a real joy tonight, and I'm going to put your Act Blue back up here, because I hope that that folks will reach out to talk to you, to find out what it is that you're looking forward to doing for the people of Midwest City, and also if they have questions about the Veterans Committee, a Veterans Federation, they can reach you, because this is what happens. Volunteers volunteer. And so we get involved, and then we become more involved, and then more involved. And I haven't heard you complain one time. So that means that you are enjoying this part of your life. And I'm very proud of the work that you're doing. And I'm particularly proud that you that you are running for office, because that's an inspiration. And when is your election?
It's February the 12th.
So it's coming up pretty quickly.
Not quick.
All right. Well, I've just been told here that I must have you back on the show. So we'll make that happen again soon. But just know that how much I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. And I'm also appreciative of your friendship, Rita.
I love you, Scott.
Love you too. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Rita Maxwell is president of the Oklahoma Democratic Party Veterans Federation, and also running for office in Midwest City, Ward 3. So it's been a good evening. I enjoyed our time together, and I hope that you have as well. Just a quick reminder that we have extended the deadline on the donkey competition to this Friday at 5:00. So any school-age person that you know in your life, neighbor, kid, grandkid, sibling, anybody at all, this is open to any Oklahoma public school student, because we want a kicking donkey on our ballot. So that's just a quick reminder right there. And as always, I appreciate you watching and for sharing this on your own social media, because the more people that hear us, the more it makes sense to vote for a Democrat in Oklahoma at every position on the ballot. Friends, thanks so much. I hope that you have a great evening. Please take good care of yourself, and I'll look forward to joining you again next Monday evening at 6:30. Until then, on behalf of Alicia Andrews, our chair, and all of us of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, I'm Scott J. Hamilton, thanking you for joining us. Good night.